What is this? What is this? LUNCE'S list. What is this? Oh. What is this? What is this? LUNCE'S list. LUNCE'S list. Oh. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5.
I provided backup vocals. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's
Can we
fine.
keep doing that?
Copyright stuff, but yeah, you can do it.
You're my new friend.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Reed and I are friends, and you two are friends.
Let me tell you about my friends at Alabama Dental Associates. They provide specialized care in both general and cosmetic dentistry. These guys are there for you when you need them. Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, they've got flexible office hours for you all throughout the course of the week. They're open on Fridays. They're open on Saturdays. If you have a dental emergency, they will make time for you with Alabama Dental Associates. You can find them there at Grants Mill Road. In Birmingham, Alabama. 205-956-8977 is the number to go ahead and schedule your appointment today. They're friendly, they're courteous, they get the job done, they have great conversations with you while working on your mouth. That's what I call a good dentist. Yes, it is. Me and Dr. Brian have had a lot of great conversations while he's right in there getting the job done. And that's what's important to me, is that compassion and that bond that I have with Dr. Brian at Alabama Dental Associates. That is alabamadental.com. All right, John, what went into your mindset with LUNCE'S list?
So I think I've had basically every major console between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I actually never had a Dreamcast. I had no desire to ever have a Dreamcast.
Awful controller.
Of any like failed company / console. You know, I may have missed some, but you know, I think I gravitate towards Microsoft a little more, but I have found enjoyment in almost every console, some game on every console that I have played. So I'm not coming at this from, oh, well, you only play one console, or, you know, I think I could say I found enjoyment in all of them, but certain things stand out and work for me better than others.
Let's head to number 5. I'm very interested to see what era we start with here. Rockstar, back in the day, you had more time for video games in your life.
I used to play video games a lot, so I'm interesting. I have one that's...
This is the Xbox One X controller.
Is it any different than the Xbox One?
Yes.
There are different variants in all Xbox controllers. You need to know that.
Now, it is the slightest difference between Xbox One and Xbox One X / S. I guess you could kind of put those together.
I would say Xbox One... or the Xbox controller was way too clunky for me. Way too...
The big one?
Yeah, the big
Duke. It's perfect for me.
Yeah, it's just...
the Duke may make an appearance on the list. You never know.
Oh.
But the current form of the Xbox controller is a little too sharp on the edges for me, for my liking. Xbox controllers have always...
On the triggers?
Yeah, and the top part, so how you hold it, the top part, like where the buttons, the left and right buttons are, that's a little sharp. I don't want to say sharp. It's not like it's cutting into you, but it's very much a hard corner as opposed to more rounded. I feel like from the Duke all the way up through Xbox 360, everything was a little more rounded.
Yeah.
I feel like the sharper corners fit the current, design trends now, but overall the curve is just better for holding in your hand in general. So I don't dislike it. It is currently the controller that I use because of current gen stuff. I do lean more towards Microsoft, and so when we play Rocket League all the time, and I'll pull my controller out, and I will prefer to use the Xbox controller if I had to choose one. The Xbox One X controller, just because of current gen stuff, I'm leaning more in that direction.
Tyler, do you agree with this choice at number 5?
So I haven't used the Xbox One X controller. On my list that I made, I had the Xbox One as the number 1 choice on my pick, or on my list.
We'll
so
see.
Xbox One X is
current controllers you have to use, because you can't really go back and use old stuff a lot of times. It is my choice right now, but there's older controllers for older consoles that I would lean.
What I remember from the original Xbox controller, would you call it the Duke?
Yeah.
Was a good idea for Microsoft is to have a big controller with a bunch of real estate, and on that real estate put the Xbox logo or the Microsoft logo and just of empty real estate. It was like 45% of the controller. I was like,
They eventually made that a button, but at first it was just a big old logo.
That's fair. All right, let's go to number 4 on Lunce's list. What is your personal favorite controller that you've ever held? Because the controller is as important as any other part of the console gaming experience. And I hope that Lunsford doesn't go, mouse and keyboard is number 1, because I would expect a 49ers fan to do that sort of thing.
I love how specific it is.
All right, number 4, the Wii U.
Oh, the gamepad.
Gamepad.
Gamepad's solid.
Tyler's a big fan of this pick. Why are you such a big fan?
Look it up.
So my problem with playing any Wii or Wii U games is the Wii remote and nunchuck. They're awful. I've never liked motion controls, so any game where you can get away from motion controls, just give me the controller that isn't set up for Samba de Amigo and Wii Sports, you know? Give me something actually set up to play Mario.
So I have a picture of it up right now. So one I pulled a picture of because I feel like when I say a lot of these, you're going to know exactly what it is. But this is the one that was, so the best experience I guess I had on it was probably like Breath of the Wild because it came out the same time as the Switch. So if you weren't one of those that got Switch like day one and you wanted to play Breath of the Wild day one, you had to play it on the Wii U. But it kind of, you could kind of have a second screen experience looking down. Imagine playing on your Switch, but you also can play on your TV as well. The biggest reason I like this, you look at it and say, there's no way. How is that? You're on your top controllers and over an Xbox One X controller. For me, it's the spreading apart of my hands. I like my hands being further apart. Now, I've tried the ones that like you hold different controllers like in different hands, like it's basically a separated controller. But I don't have the stability between the two to kind of control what I'm doing. But this spread your hands further apart with the screen in the middle to make it where it's a little more comfortable to actually hold in your hands.
I feel like the Wii U is Nintendo's forgotten console. Am I right about that?
Yeah, because the Wii was revolutionary with its motion and stuff like that, playing Wii Sports, games like that. And then the Wii U was like, hey, we're going to take it to another level. Nobody really cared. And then the Switch then really did take it to another level for a lot of people. But look, the Wii U, Breath of the Wild, you could play it on Switch, but I played it on Wii U. Twilight Princess, I actually really liked, kind of an underrated game. They did an HD remake of Wind Waker, so I played a ton of Zelda on that. Mario Kart Smash for Wii U. Super Mario Maker came out at that point, so that's the screen helped with Super Mario Maker as well. So there's a lot of games that came out in the Wii U era that you don't really think about because they come out with Mario games every time, Zelda games every time, Mario Kart games every time, Smash games every time. But ultimately, a pretty good roster of games for the Wii U.
I feel like if someone says, I'm playing Xbox, everyone just imagines they're playing the current generation of Xbox.
Right.
But if everybody says, I'm playing the Wii, they're still thinking about the nunchuck experience.
Yeah, and throwing it at the TV.
And they're not thinking about the Wii U at all. Yeah. It is
gotta have that control strap on.
Watch out now, yes. Hey, I'll tell you that Dune popcorn bucket needs a strap as well on it.
No, I fixed it.
Let's go to number 3 before we get our show canceled somehow. I didn't play a lot of the Wii U. I didn't see it as a necessary console to own. And really, anytime I played the Wii U, it was because I was at Lunsford's house making sure that I was using his. All right, number 3. Oh, this is going to be one of those arguments here, I think. Number 3 is the GameCube controller. Now, the GameCube controller has a better legacy than the GameCube itself.
Correct.
It continues to live on to this day. It continues to stay in high demand. You show up to any sort of tournament to actually play competitive Nintendo, which I have done. Lunsford, you have done. The GameCube controllers are everywhere. Why has the GameCube controller stood the test of time?
It's unique. And I think what they tried to make unique with the Nintendo 64, the 3-pronged one where you can hold it here or hold it here for the joystick in the middle. I feel like they refined that to make it more of what you get from an Xbox controller, and I guess a little bit of PlayStation controller. But the biggest thing I like, and you'll be able to tell this from the list outside of the Wii U gamepad that doesn't have it this way, is I like the offset joysticks, where when you're holding in your hand, left thumb is on the joystick to move, right thumb is on the buttons that you can then come down to, like the look around joystick. But as it stands, you should have one joystick, one button, not both buttons are both joysticks, which is how the PlayStation one is. That's how the Wii U gamepad was too, but that's more about the size, more so than the buttons and the joystick. The GameCube made a Nintendo version of that. You had the joystick at the top and you had the buttons at the top, with the C-stick basically being your right joystick that was down. So it fit for me the more Xbox mold versus PlayStation. But then also it just works perfectly for one game in particular, which is why I still use it and why you use it, is Super Smash Brothers. And that's a game that continues to grow and evolve and continue to be very well received and played a lot. And that's the one thing that has kept me using it. And I can imagine playing that game with literally anything else other than a GameCube controller. So the fact that I'm still going back to that with the Xbox, I'll move on to whatever the new thing is. With PlayStation, I'll move on to whatever the new thing is. I absolutely have to have a GameCube controller to play a game like that.
I do not really like the GameCube controller. I'll use it if I have to, but I prefer the Pro controllers that Nintendo has put out compared to using the GameCube controller.
I actually also like the buttons. So there's a big button, little button, and then the two side buttons for the X and Y. I prefer that because think about games you play. Most games you play, you do have one button you hit a lot more than the others. How much do you actually hit Y when you're playing certain games on a controller versus how much you press A, let's say? It depends on how you have your button set up for a shooter or a fighting game or whatever it may be. But the GameCube had one big button that's like, look, that's going to be your button. And then the others were kind of little around it. So it's a very much focal point of joystick, big button, you're done. And you can advance from there if you really want to.
I looked at a picture of it because I wasn't familiar with it. Shocker. It looks like it was designed by Salvador Dali.
I mean, it does. It does
And
have
it
that
also
look.
looks like something that Willy Wonka would press to put something in a chocolate.
Is that because it's purple?
No, it's just the shape. The shape is just like something like at a random kid's store. Like, we have generic controller. We're wacky. That's what it looks like.
It is odd. I'll give you credit. It is odd.
The GameCube was not a huge success. The controller has been labeled as a huge success. It
But
continues to be produced to this day.
The GameCube also had the greatest game of all time, in my opinion, with Wind Waker. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker.
GameCube is a very underrated console. I will just leave it at that. I think that it produced a lot of great gaming titles and a great generation of games that was overshadowed by the war that was being heated up between Sony and Microsoft. All right, let's go to number 2 on Lunce's list. As we still have 2 spots remaining, we will see what the greatest gaming controller of all time, according to John Lunsford, is in the number 1 spot. But the runner-up, the silver medalist, is the Xbox 360 controller. This is probably the controller that I have logged the most hours on in my life.
You and I both.
It took the Duke, it refined it and made it a better package here. I don't know how you get better than the Xbox 360 controller, but maybe I'll be surprised. John, why do you love this controller so much?
You won't be. So this is the one I logged the most time on. I mentioned when I was going through my franchises, Halo was number 2 for me. That Halo really got me into things, and Halo 2 was the first game you could play backwards compatible to kind of move on to the next level. And then, of course, Halo 3, Halo 4, the franchise growing there. Plus, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, as big as that game was, and Modern Warfare 2, played the heck out of those games. I mean, just naming the roster: BioShock, Fallout 3, Red Dead Redemption, Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, I can sit here and go on forever. And those were all games that I logged a lot of my life on. It was when I was in college. It came out my freshman year of college. So I can remember going at midnight to get the console and me and my roommates playing on it.
Just to put it into perspective, you name all of these games that are a little bit old, and then you name Grand Theft Auto 5, which is still the most current Grand Theft Auto. It's just amazing that that's still a part of the conversation.
That's on Rockstar, not me. Not you, but the company. But, which is, that's why Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be so big, because it's been so long. Yeah. But, no, look, it's the one I have the most fond memories of, and it's the one that, by the way, is very curved. It took the old school Xbox controller and the big X that Rocky was talking about and what we have now, and it's the medium in between the two, but it was the curved version as opposed to very strict buttons. Also, it moved the black and white buttons to basically a start and select, which I hated the way the black and white buttons were on the original Xbox controller. It made a more proper start and select, which is what you need to have on any controller.
Did you have a certain color Xbox 360 controller that you liked, or was it just the standard black?
No, I use white.
White.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you already say that?
No, but okay. I mean, I like the white color better, but boy, it gets dirty. So the black is better for me. Now I have black controllers because they'll get dirty, and I know I'll use them a bunch, and I'd rather have black.
All right, let's go to number 1 on Lunce's list. What is the greatest gaming controller ever made according to John Lunsford?
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's saying I'm
It's
sorry.
going to be the Jaguar.
All right, we're currently on Lunce's list. At number 1, the best gaming controller ever made,
I have no idea.
the KB keyboard and mouse
This
what you
is
did.
how we write it shorthand.
Keyboard and mouse
It was
is
Wii.
what that is?
Yes.
What did I say?
I
was
knew
the
he
number
The
would do
minute
one
you
thing.
said it, I'm like,
I
well,
knew
hell,
he would
that's-
do it.
I'm all out of whack now because you said that. I didn't want to be like, this little device right here
It's a mouse.
gives you infinitely, and I mean infinitely more control than any
Knew you would
joystick
do
will ever
this.
give you. This little doohickey right here
Keyboard.
gives you infinitely more buttons to press
Today's
than any
not our
controller will ever give you. It is the absolute way to play games. It is the only way I play games, except for sports games, which I would consider Rocket League a sports game. So I pull out, now I play it on PC when Tim and I play together, but I will pull out my Xbox controller for that, my Xbox One X controller, which is at number 5. I absolutely despise PlayStation controllers. I only play it up here because Jim Dunaway got a PlayStation 5, so he mentioned that. So I was like, well, if we're going to make the Madden League happen, we're going to have to use PlayStation 5 for him. So I bit the bullet. I got one. You know, it was a fight to get PlayStation 5s. I got one.
I like how he mentions he bit the bullet. He had to get a PlayStation 5 when they were reselling
Well,
at that point.
That's what
I
I
didn't get it resold. I got it for normal price. It was
That
just
is-
the moment. You had to be a part of the moment.
This is the way pretentious keyboard and mouse people talk to people like us.
KBMs.
KBM, sorry.
I don't want to write out keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, make you look
You get
weird.
to number 1, your arm gets tired.
Who are you turning into, John? And I know you've always loved keyboards and
The elite
mice,
of the elite.
but you are turning into the elite of the elite. And I don't know if that's going to affect our relationship positively or negatively, but I think it would be negatively. And I hate I even made the joke, oh, he's probably going to go keyboard and mouse number 1 because that would be the most pretentious thing you could do. And guess what? He
It's too
did
late
it.
to change my list at that point. I already got it written down.